This is the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. Good evening, I'm Sabrina Brown. It's great to have you with us. You can add a new holiday to the 2014 calendar. Prime Minister the Right Honorable Perry Christie in Parliament today said beginning next year, January 10th, will be observed as Majority Rule holiday. The nation's leader noted that January 10th, 1967 was a defining moment in Bahamian history and must be remembered as such. The Prime Minister also stating today that the National Heroes Act of 2007 will come into force on Friday, declaring that the second Monday in October of each year will be observed as National Heroes Day. He said the persons to be recognized can be alive or may have passed on, but they must come from a small category of persons to whom the nation's highest honors will be reserved. The Prime Minister said a special advisory committee made up of 2 members from the government and 2 from the opposition will help to make the selection. Appointments to the Order of National Heroes will be made by the Governor-General, who will serve as Chancellor of the Order. Those selected for the honor will be given the title Right Excellent. In other news, police on Grand Bahama taking $2.3 million worth of drugs off the streets early this morning. The discovery was made on the Warren J. Lavarity Highway. Several suspects are behind bars tonight, and more could be arrested pending the outcome of police investigations. Shashina Roll has more.
Police officials say it is the largest drug bust in recent time. 399 wrapped packages totaling a whopping $2.3 million. Now 6 men are behind bars assisting police in this matter. A room at police headquarters filled with 21 duffel bags of marijuana, weighing in at over 2,000 pounds. Unclear whether the drugs were coming into or leaving the country. Officer in charge of Grand Bahama, Emerick Seymour, says thanks to observant officers, the drugs are now off the streets. He says shortly before 1 a.m. on Wednesday morning, a team were en route to an assignment on the Warren J. Lavarity Highway when they observed the van traveling east. Seymour says it appeared to be loaded and the occupants were acting in a suspicious manner.
During this time that the officers noticed a suspicious-looking vehicle, a silver Eco van, registration number GB7168, which was traveling east on Garnet Lavarity Highway. Now, the vehicle appeared to be heavy laden. Several persons were on board or in the vehicle. So becoming suspicious, the officers had reason to stop the vehicle. So they attempted to stop the vehicle, pursued the vehicle and attempted to stop it. The driver failed to stop. A chase ensued, and as a result, the vehicle eventually came to a stop.
He says 4 black men between the ages of 23 to 39, all from Freeport, were inside the vehicle. Now, while 4 persons were arrested during the initial seizure of the drugs, he says others have subsequently been taken into custody.
I want to point out, too, that this particular investigation is not over, is not concluded. As a result of our continuing investigation into this matter, I can report to you that since the incident happened, several other persons were taken into custody, and there's the potential that more may be brought into custody in connection with this particular matter.
Just this weekend, over in Bimini, police made a major drug haul. 3 men were arrested for the possession of marijuana with a street value of $515,000, and several major busts have been made throughout the country in recent time. Seymour was asked if there is a concern with the proliferation of drugs in the country.
These persons are hell-bent on committing their criminal acts. And as they are hell-bent on committing their criminal acts, we in law enforcement is even more so determined to stop them and to bring them to justice.
Up to news time, a total of 7 persons were in custody in connection with this latest drug bust. Late Wednesday afternoon, the drugs valued at around $2.3 million were packed up and flown into the nation's capital. Shoshana Roll, ZNS Network News.
Thank you, Sheena. 2 men from West Grand Bahama were remanded to Fox Hill Prison today after pleading not guilty to drug charges. 34-year-old Terrence Lorenzo Jones and Gregory Emmanuel Robinson, 35, both of Holmes Rock, were arraigned before Deputy Chief Magistrate Helen Jones in Freeport and pleaded not guilty to the charge and were remanded until February of next year, when a trial is expected to commence. Police say the men were arrested last evening when drug enforcement officers executed a search warrant at a home in Holmes Rock, where they arrested the two men for possession of 4 pounds of marijuana with a street value of $4,000. Police say Javargo Cephas Saunders, also known as Vargo, and Sean Livingston Solomon, the two men who escaped lawful custody in Bimini over the weekend, are now back in custody. Officer in charge of Grand Bahama Emmerich Seymour says the men were turned in by a family member.
And I want to thank the family members who would have assisted the police in their recapture. They brought them into the Bimini police station yesterday. As you're aware, one of them was a suspect in the drug incident we've had on Saturday past. So both suspects are expected to be flown into Nassau very shortly from Bimini, where they will be arraigned on the escape charges. And then of course, the other one, he will be arraigned in connection with the drug find at the drug seizure we had in Bimini on Saturday past.
While it is unclear how the men escaped from the cell in Bimini, Seymour says investigations are ongoing. He warns that if any officer is found negligent in this case, they will be held responsible.
We don't cover up any negligence or any slackness on the part of any police officer. If there's culpability on the part of a police officer, if there's negligence on the part of a police officer in those prisoners being allowed to escape, they will be dealt with to the full extent of the law. And trust me, that will happen. If they are found wanting in the escape of these two prisoners, they will be dealt with accordingly. And we have the mechanisms in place. That's why the matter is being investigated by a senior police officer who's on the ground right now in Bimini as I speak. I just spoke with them this morning. And I expect them back on the island of Grand Bahama sometime today. And of course, they will be bringing me the file, of course, with the recommendations. And of course, wherever the chips will fall where they may.
The two men are expected to be taken to Nassau to answer to the escape and other charges. With the unemployment rate on Grand Bahama the highest in the country, the call for jobs intensifies. Unemployed workers on Grand Bahama taking their plight to the next level. They say they are determined not only to be seen, but heard as well. Joan Davis-Roll reports.
I'm not a thief, I'm not a robber, I ain't getting on the wall to go sell no drugs and do none of that dumb stupid. I just want to use my hand and my tape and get some gainful employment.
His sign says it all. It reads, "I need a job." It is this appeal that Godfrey Wilson and Brian Colbrook hope will not fall on deaf ears. It is a plea the unemployed men say they've been making for several weeks.
I'm licensed with the port. I have my documents. I have Bahamian's license right in this case. If they do need me, I'm here. I'm here on the premises 5 o'clock in the morning. Before they come to work, I'm here. And 5 o'clock I go and come back again the next day. I will be doing it again tomorrow. Please, I need a job.
Been coming out here for almost now 3 months. Every morning, some mornings I out here before 7 o'clock. And every time I ask one of the gentlemen or the people in charge or the foremen for a job as a mason, I'm a skilled mason, they tell me that their hands are already full, that bring their people down from Nassau and they don't have no vacancy.
In the wake of their silent stand, security officials remain on high alert. The men say they are always cognizant of the fact that they run the risk of being thrown off private property. Prime property which leads to the multi-million-dollar reef redevelopment project and next to the sole gaming facility on Grand Bahama, the Treasure Bay Casino. The men say they are in dire straits.
My water's off right now. I went to the water company. I only had $50 in my hand. My wife is on social service. She's going to get a monthly check just to feed me and her. I went to the water company for $50. They tell me they cannot turn it on for $50. I told water my house so I could pay it off. Next, the 13th, second week of every month, Port Authority is coming to turn it off next week. My bill is pretty low. Other people don't, but my bill is like $2-something right now. I just put $100 on it. I try to keep the power on, but the water bill, I can't handle it because there's no job.
My rent is over like $900. I only pay $300 a month. The landlord is about to put me out. I have a work car and it isn't even running. I'm about to just put my stuff in there until I could find some place to live. I need a job and I need it dead bad. It ain't no joke because I have a son, 8 years old. I'm unable to buy him a new pair of shoes when school opened.
While there, the men were asked by officials to relocate, and they did. Our news team witnessed them moving to an area where they were virtually standing in the road. Grand Bahama, they say, must be for Grand Bahamians, many of whom are struggling to gain their share of this island's economic pie.
In terms of employment, Nassau got a lot of work going on. Why should they bring people from Nassau here to Freeport? And they have a lot of skilled people here.
Joan Davis-Roll, ZNS Network News.
Thank you, Joan. Stay with us. The Northern Edition is coming right back.